So there have been a couple new mandates coming out of the public health unit for Wellington-Dufferin-Guelph that affect businesses, and it's taking effect relatively quickly, which is June 12th, which is Friday, and today is Wednesday, June the 10th. So there's only a short amount of period of time for this to happen. Um, so the first one is that businesses have to have alcohol-based hand rub at all the entrances and exits for everyone to be able to use. That one makes sense, and I mean, it might be a little difficult, but at the same time, it makes all the sense in the world. So the second one that's more controversial is that businesses must prevent visitors, as in customers, employees, anybody, from staying in their business or from entering if they're not wearing a face mask. And the exceptions to this are if they're under 2 years old, as in the visitor, or if it inhibits their breathing due to a medical condition. Now, I'm going to be honest. When I first heard this, I got a little annoyed and I didn't want to do it. Like, I'm going to be honest. But when I looked into it and when I actually thought about it, it makes all the sense in the world. And I mean, we all should do it. Um, and it helps keep us all safe. And I'll get into why we're doing it, why this mandate's probably coming now versus why it wasn't before, and why some of these arguments are ridiculous that people have against wearing a mask, or not a mask again, but a face covering, because again, it's important to distinguish between these two things. So this applies to all commercial establishments. Again, customers, patrons, employees, visitors, pretty much anyone who enters the establishment. Again, except for those who have those exceptions that I mentioned before. Now, and also, you're allowed to take your mask off if you need to actually experience the services. So, I mean, if you're getting your hair cut, obviously you need to take your mask down because you need to get your hair cut, especially if you're like wearing a bandana around your face. Again, I keep saying mask, but I mean covering, sorry. Um, so yeah, you can move it down for that, or if you're eating, or if you're getting like lip injections or Botox, like any of those things, like you can remove the face coverings for that when those procedures are taking place. But again, once you're done getting those, like once you're done doing those things, like eating or getting your hair cut, you put the face mask back on, and then you either go sit down or you leave. Because again, we're trying to keep everyone safe here, and that's part of the whole thing. Like, we're kind of doing a trade off here. Like, we're able to open up the economy, but as a kind of a trade off, and I think it's a reasonable one, we should all start wearing face masks. Like, that's how other places in the world have gone through this, and that's how some places that didn't like move down their, like didn't lock down their economy have gone through some of this. I mean, they've made other sacrifices as well, maybe more sacrifices than they should have. But the the face masks or the face coverings have been part of it too. And I mean, again, if we want to get back to normal, that's how we do these things. Now, the reason for wearing a face mask is because the disease is extremely contagious and it can kill people. And coverings reduce the body fluids that actually contain the virus from getting to on other people, like which is how the disease is reported to spread. I mean, it makes all the sense in the world. I mean, you have clothes, they protect the public from seeing your business, and I mean, you have a mask, and that prevents you from people catching corona. It's just another piece of clothing. I mean, it makes all the sense in the world. Um, like really. But anyways, and again, some more reasons why we're doing this is because there's still some evidence of community transmission in Dufferin, according to the public health unit, and the economy's just starting back up. So I mean, there's more activity taking place, and more people are going to be closer to each other, moving around, and things again are getting back to normal. So we need to take extra precautions now because the disease isn't gone, and we don't want it coming back. So we need to do other things if we're trying to get back to normal. And one of those things is wearing a face covering. So again, makes a ton of sense. Annoying, but it makes sense, and we have to make these sacrifices. I mean, it's not too much to ask. I mean, man, I mean, and I mean, this makes even more sense because there's a lot more public gatherings going on with all these demonstrations and things like that, and the rallies and the protests. So I mean, it makes even more sense now to do this than it would have otherwise. I mean, we're always going to have to wear face masks during the recovery. I mean, or face coverings during the recovery. That's just logical. But now with everything else going on, it makes even more sense. and we really don't want to spike. Um, yeah. And I mean, honestly, businesses shouldn't want to be known as a hotspot, and that's the last thing anybody needs right now. So I think it's a good thing that we're all mandated to wear masks because I mean, I think that's in everyone's best interest, including the reputations of these businesses. Um, and they don't need that on top of all the other hurt that they've experienced during this that isn't their fault. Now, with this, failure to comply with this order from the public health unit is an offense which you may be liable on conviction to a fine of up to $5,000 for each day or part of each day for which the offense occurs or continues. So that's not great at all. Um, Now again, with face coverings, you can use a bandana or anything like that, a scarf, a cloth, like pretty much anything that just reduces the amount of like spit and body fluids from leaving your mouth and nose and getting on things and people. That's all that they're asking. And I mean, the only people I really feel bad for, are, again, other than the people that have to deal with the implications of getting the looks of, hey, why aren't you wearing a mask? And it's for valid reasons. I feel like some people are gonna play up some things to avoid wearing a mask, but there are people that have valid reasons for not wearing a mask, and I get concerned that they're gonna get shamed, and that is extremely unfortunate because they do not deserve it. Um, but employees as well. I mean, I really hope that these businesses and the employees have real solutions that are comfortable if they're gonna have to be going through like 8, 9, 10 long shifts with these coverings. I mean, that's not great. Now there are people that have concerns with this, and one of those is like, why are they forcing people to wear masks now? Why weren't they forcing this earlier? One again is because the economy's starting up now, and there's less people socially isolating and distancing, and there's going to be less opportunities to do so. So that makes more sense. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, you have to wear a mask now because things are getting back to normal, but the disease is still there, as I mentioned before. And like I also said, I think there was a restriction. I'm sorry, it's like a trade off. I think if they forced people to wear a mask before, on top of everything else that was going on, they were worried people would have gotten really, really upset. I mean, people were really upset before, but when you see the outrage of people having to wear a mask now, and you combine that with everything else that was going on before, I can understand why they didn't combine these two things, especially if they're really just trying to encourage people to stay home and they weren't really trying to limit the supply of masks. I mean, now there's enough solutions out there, and again, they're just making it face coverings, not masks. So it's reasonable, and also again, people understand that there's a difference now, and there's again homemade solutions. People are comfortable with them, or a lot of people are, and it makes more sense now to put in this restriction now versus before. I can understand that, and I think others can too. Um, One problem here might be that the fines. Obviously, these are going to hurt small businesses, possibly. But at the same time, Dufferin locally, I haven't seen anything too crazy as far as people abusing their power, going like using this as a weapon against businesses. Everyone's been pretty reasonable with this one as far as my knowledge goes. I just hope customers don't put businesses in the position where they're going to be put at risk or in danger for just trying to make a living. I mean, again, small businesses have been hurt enough during this, and I really don't want to see somebody get fined because somebody was trying to make a point about their rights and having to wear a mask. I mean, it's up to a small business owner. Like they have rights too. They have a right to make a living, and it's not fair to put them in that position. So I really hope people are understanding of that one. Don't hurt these small businesses, please. Um, and again, the local enforcement seems to have been reasonable on everything up to this point. So, and I expect that to be the same. I don't see any indications that it wouldn't be. We seem to have pretty good local leadership on that front. Um, One concern is that store owners are worried about security and crime and things like that and wanting to know people's identities. I get that 100%. We're gonna have to work around that. I mean, it's important that everyone be patient. If people can remove their mask before they come in, um, and kind of verify an identity. Any precautions that people can take. I mean, I think things have worked well so far, and if we can kind of follow those procedures, we can keep going. But yeah, again, it's all adjustments, and we need to, again, everyone needs to be protected, including the small business owners from criminals. But again, the bigger risk, I think, and the bigger danger and the more immediate risk seems to be this disease and spreading it. And again, I don't think any business wants to be known as a hotspot for corona, and that can happen. Never mind a fine. Nobody wants to pick up a $5,000 fine. So, anyways, and then there's people that are arguing that, like, well, masks have been proven not to help me, and especially like the cloth face coverings, they're more dangerous than other kinds of masks. And it's like, we're not arguing about masks protecting you, it's about protecting other people from you. That's the argument. I mean, when you have these false arguments or these straw man arguments about one type of mask being less effective than the other from giving you the disease, that's no one's talking about that. Like, it's a ridiculous argument, and it's obvious you don't know what you're talking about. But anyways, that's just the truth. But and another one is the criticism of the timing of this. We've only been given 2 days to figure this out, and that is true. But at the same time, I don't blame the Public Health Board for that one, for just let this out earlier this week. And they've been trying to, and the Health Board has to adapt to that. So they figured out a couple days, hey, we got to do this. And they only have 2 days for things to open. So, I mean, this isn't their fault. I wish there was more time, but they have to work within the limitations that they have. So it sucks. But that's just the way it is. But again, it's important that everyone be patient on this one. Like, again, everyone's trying their best. And we're looking forward to getting things kind of back to normal. And to do that, we have to do these little things. And one of these little things is wearing a face covering. Everyone that can should. Again, there's going to be exceptions. And I don't want people that actually do have legitimate exceptions to be shamed. And part of that, prevent that from happening, is everyone that can wear a mask should. And that's what the Public Health Board is mandating as well. So I hope everyone else can get on the same page, and I hope everyone stays safe and healthy, and I hope everyone actually can enjoy everything opening back up. I know I'm going to be looking forward to getting a haircut, but I feel like it's going to be a while because everything's going to be booked. But oh well, I'm not going to complain. There's bigger issues right now. So, thank you so much, and I hope everyone has some luck in finding a mask, or a face covering. But again, they're not too picky on it. Pretty much just anything that prevents your spit or body like sneezes, bodily fluids from getting off from getting on other people and other things. That's all that they're asking, and I don't think it's too much. So again, thank you so much, and I hope you have a great one. Thanks. Bye.